Make sure y'all stay on point with
The Puncher's Point. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to The Puncher's Point. The monster returns to the ring. Naoya Inoue will return not only to the ring, but he is returning to the United States. That's right. It is not going so many fights. His recent fights, if you can all go all the way back to even Fulton, his recent fights all took place in Japan. But you know what? He's coming back to the United States. And I believe this is the first time in about 5 years that Inoue is coming back to the States. And he's going up against Ramon Cardenas. So for me, here's what I will say. Okay, first of all, I'm glad that we finally get to see Naoya Inoue back in the United States because this isn't his first time fighting in the United States, but this is his first time fighting in the United States as a big star. You see, before when he was fighting in the United States, he was kind of an up and comer. He was on the rise. Now he's already solidified himself as a pound for pound, arguably number one fighter in the world. So now I think it's time for him to start getting that recognition in the United States to start making him a bigger star, not only in Japan, but also around the world as well. So overall, I'm glad that Naoya Inoue is returning to the United States. But with that being said, we're here to talk about a fight between him and Ramon Cardenas. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. We're gonna start off with the monster Naoya Inoue. His strengths. Literally everything. I mean, honestly, if you whatever you want to think about as far as Naoya Inoue, he has the strength. He's explosive. He's very tactile. He's got the ring IQ, the footwork. Nobody can touch him when it comes to that type of stuff. Deadly body puncher. He can hit you with an uppercut. He can hit you with a left. He can hit you with a right, a counter. He can be the aggressor. He can be patient. I could go on for hours talking about how great his strengths are. Now, if I had to point to one strength that I think sums it all up, it's his ring IQ. A lot of people don't give Inoue enough credit for his ring IQ. They see the explosive knockouts and they see how he's able to just dominate guys from beginning to end. We see with our very own eyes what these guys look like before they step into the ring with Inoue and what they look like after. TJ Doheny, he hit him so hard in the stomach that it broke his back. Then you go to somebody like Marlon Tapales. Marlon Tapales was a champion. What did he do? He completely worked him. Then you go to somebody like the Maloney's, laid them out clean flush. Stephen Fulton, a guy who was undefeated, considered a very good defensive fighter, cracked that Philly shell and basically dropped him and owned him for 6 rounds. When we look at Naoya Inoue, it doesn't matter who you put in front of him. He knows how to beat him. He knows the game plan. And even when you think you got him in trouble, like if you're somebody like Donaire, who you feel like has him in trouble, or somebody like a Luis Neri, he's never gonna let you win. He will not give you a single inch. Naoya Inoue is a killer. That's what he is, and we don't see many fighters like him. I've gone on argument to say he's one of the greatest offensive fighters of all time, and I don't think that's a stretch at all. I mean, in my opinion, I've compared him to Manny Pacquiao, but with the I hate to say this, but with the trajectory that he's going in, he might have a career better than Manny Pacquiao's. And I know that's crazy to say. I know that's wild to say. I'm not saying he's going to be better, but I said he has a chance, and I mean that. So if you're asking me what's his strengths, everything, but I think the ring IQ is what separates him the most with everybody. The other thing about him too, I mean, he's so good at opening up. See, he doesn't wait for you to make a mistake. He forces you to make a mistake. So many fighters that step into the ring with Inoue, they'll have a little bit of success, but just not enough to even take it. And I'm not gonna lie, there's been many times I've done extensive studying on Naoya Inoue, and I have not found many weaknesses with him. Because the truth is, Naoya Inoue, whatever he lacks, he makes it up 100 times more with just how athletic he is, with the power that he possesses, with the fast hands, with the footwork, with the agility, just the way he's able to control a fight and just to maneuver a ring. Naoya Inoue is very well respected by many, many fighters. If you look, there's not any. I dare y'all to name one fighter that really disrespects Inoue, besides maybe Sam Goodman and MJ. Besides those two, name one fighter that really disrespects Inoue. You can't find one. Do you want to know why? Because Naoya Inoue is so respected as far as his skill set and his ability. He has one of the best skill sets at boxing. I mean, there's not a guy that we can point to in boxing who we can honestly say, at least in that top 10 pound for pound, there is not a guy that we can point to in boxing where you could look at every single fight and say, yeah, this guy's dominant. This guy's a problem. Naoya Inoue has not had a bad fight. Let's get that straight. There's been times where he's slowly started to show that he is a human, that he does have human flaws, but he has never had a bad fight. Let's get that straight right now. I've never looked at a fight with Inoue and gone, this guy is gonna get beat by this guy if he steps into the ring. Naoya Inoue is losing. I never had that. Now, obviously, he's had over 30 fights undefeated. So yeah, guys are gonna collect a little bit of weaknesses, and he does have those weaknesses, and we'll get to those a little bit later. But what I will say about Naoya Inoue is every single time he's been tested, every single time somebody has had some type of success against him, he has shut that down quick. Luis Neri knocked him down in the first round. Clean. I mean, absolutely clean hook. Knocked him down, made him do a Michael Jackson spin. He fell to the ground. He got back up. What did he do? Did he play it cautious? No. What did he do? He went in there and he continued to knock down Luis Neri 3 times in that fight. In a way, I'm sorry, that's a guy that's hard to beat, and it's a guy that I really can't see getting beaten for like the next 2 to 3 divisions. So I think that when we talk about Naoya Inoue, we have to understand that there's so many strengths with him that I couldn't even name them all. I named a few, but there are so many more. And I bet if I went through an extensive study over him, I'd find even more strengths. Me personally, I feel like Naoya Inoue is that fighter that can adapt to anything. He's that fighter that he knows what type of fighter you are. He knows your game plan. He knows your strategy, and he can work around that. And honestly, you got to give a lot of credit to his father. He's done a very good job with not just Naoya, but Takuma as well. And they also have other brothers as well. I mean, his father is a very, very good trainer, so I got to give him credit as well. But Naoya Inoue, when he steps into a ring, he knows what he has to do to get the job done, and he goes in there and he gets it done. And you can't say that about, like, for instance, all fighters have a bad day, have a bad night, have a bad day in the office. Naoya Inoue doesn't. He has times where he has bad moments, but he never has a bad day in the office. There's never a time where I look at Naoya Inoue and I go, that was a bad fight. That was boring. He didn't do what he was supposed to. No, 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 no. He does everything he's supposed to and more. And I think that's the reason why Naoya Inoue is such an entertaining fighter for boxing fans. But with that being said, y'all can call that whatever you want. What are the weaknesses with him? Well, first of all, his last fights, he's been showing that he's little by little human. He's been getting caught a little bit more. And the one weakness that he's always had, he tends to drop both of his hands when he goes for an attack. You see, the thing is, when in a way, he's so and he's great defensively as well. I mean, he's an amazing counter puncher. He's got great head movement, great footwork, all those types of things. He knows how to cut angles. He knows how to confuse opponents. But the problem with him is when he gets into his groove and he gets aggressive, sometimes he gets a little bit over aggressive and he drops his hands. Again, in the clinch, he was in the clinch. He was in the inside with Luis Neri. He miscalculated one of those punches. As he was backing up, Luis Neri hit him with a hook, knocked him down. The problem is with Naoya Inoue is sometimes I feel like he relies a little bit too much on his athleticism and not enough on the fundamentals. And one of those fundamentals is always make sure that you got your guard up. And Naoya Inoue sometimes doesn't have that guard up. And I believe fundamentally there's sometimes where I don't think he pays enough attention to that. So I will say that's one of his weaknesses. The other thing I noticed with him is he has the same weakness as Errol Spence. Go back and watch that fight with Terrence Crawford against Errol Spence. If you notice, one of the knockdowns, Errol Spence goes in for a straight body punch. And what does he do? He leans his entire body in, and Terrence Crawford was able to counter and knock him down. Naoya Inoue has the same weakness. When he goes to the body, his body's not straight. He's lowering his body to get a straight body punch in. And what happens is when you do that, the problem with that is you're putting all this leverage in the front of you. All this body weight that you got, it's there's no balance right there. So when he does that, he's been fast enough to get away with it and quick enough to get away with it. But the problem is with him, he's constantly leaning. He's constantly overleaning. And last but not least, when it comes to his hooks, he'll be overextending too. And that is a problem for Naoya Inoue as well. He can't be overextending. Naoya Inoue is a great fighter. Again, like I said, he is very intelligent, and on top of that, he's very ruthless. But the problem is, I just think he gets a little bit over happy sometimes on offense, and he'll tend to overswing. But at the same time, last but not least, I do also feel like he has problems with guys who can also move, who also have some type of quickness. TJ Doheny, we can say what we want. We can make fun of how Naoya Inoue hit him so hard in the stomach that he ended up having back problems. We can make fun, we can laugh about that all we like. But the truth of the matter is this. TJ Doheny was having a decent fight against Naoya Inoue. He was making it close, and the way he was doing that, he was moving around. He was constantly cutting angles on Naoya Inoue. He was showing that if you have the same amount of quickness as him, you can make it a successful fight against Inoue. So with that being said, he's going up against Cardenas. He's going up against Ramon Cardenas. Now, with that being said, what does Cardenas have that he could use to his advantage, and what strengths does he have? Well, when I look at Cardenas, I will say the first strength is he's got power in that left hand. You see, if you go and you watch a lot of his film and a lot of his highlights and a lot of his fights, that left hand, I mean, that's his power punch right there. That is the punch that he's going to be looking to finish Inoue off with. The other strength that he has, he's very composed. That's what I will say. See, the thing is, what I noticed with Cardenas is he's not getting too happy. He's not getting wild. See what happens with him. He's very, very composed. He has this Philly shell, and he doesn't leave it unless he has to. And so for me, that's one of the strengths that he has because I do believe it's going to take a composed fighter. Maybe not a conservative fighter, not a fighter who's just going to stand there and try to survive the whole night, but a fighter who's composed, who is going to pick their shots and is going to be able to defeat him that way. That is the guy that's going to beat Inoue, and he is composed. So I say he's got a part of that down. The other strengths that he has is his counterpunching. I do believe he is a very, very good counterpuncher. You know, that Philly show's helped him a lot. And he's no Floyd Mayweather, but at the same time, he makes it work. And when it comes to counterpunching, specifically the straight right is the punch that he really does rely on when it comes to counterpunching. You see, what he'll do is he'll be in that Philly shell and he'll let these guys, try to tee off on the inside. And then right when he sees that chin open, bang, straight right. And that's what he uses to fend off a lot of his opponents. And he's very good to the body as well. That's what I will say. I mean, he is a very good body puncher, and I feel like when you're talking about body punchers, those are the guys you got to watch out for the most. And I like the way he digs to the body, and he'll do it consistently. And I do think that's also something you might have to do against Naoya Inoue. But the question is, how consistent can you be going to the body? And last but not least, he has a very good jab. And I do think that you can use that jab also to kind of slow down in a way to prevent him from throwing some power shots. You know, we obviously seen it with Rolly Romero against Ryan Garcia. He just constantly kept tapping that glove to make sure that Ryan Garcia wasn't throwing any of those dangerous hooks. You could do the same thing with Inoue. The only problem is Inoue is not Inoue has more tricks than Ryan Garcia, so you got to watch out for a lot more. You know, your head's got to be on a swivel. You got to make every single second of that fight, you have to watch out, or else Inoue can clip you with any shot at any given time. And then after that, it could be the end of the fight. So, with that being said, what are the keys for both of these guys? Well, for Naoya Inoue, I would say if you're going to win this fight, I think what you should do, the first key I'm going to give you is feints. And I mentioned the Philly shell with Cardenas. Well, guess what? There was another guy who had a Philly shell. His name was Stephen Fulton. When Naoya Inoue went into that ring against Stephen Fulton, he did a very good job of slowing down movement for Fulton. He did a very good job of foot placement, footwork, all that type of stuff. But if you remember, if you go back and you look at that fight, he used feints. He made it look like he was going to the body. He threw it straight to the body. What happened? Stephen Fulton dropped his guard. When he did, boom, he hit him right then and there with that punch. The other key to victory that I would have for Naoya Inoue is force him into later rounds. One of the weaknesses for Cardenas is his gas tank is very, very questionable. That's the problem with him. If you go and you look at it, he starts off with a Philly shell. What happens after? His gas tank starts depleting, and then he gives up that Philly shell. Now, all of a sudden, he tries to become more offensive. And in my opinion, that's not how you're going to beat Inoue. I do believe that if you're really good at the Philly shell, keep using it. Use what's best for you. So when he lets that go, that's the perfect chance for Inoue to just tee off on him. So I will say, let him go to the later rounds. He doesn't use head movement too much either. So I do believe that in order for Naoya Inoue to win this fight, I do believe that not only are you going to have to go to the head, which I do believe Inoue will do, but I do think it all starts with the body. That's how you deplete his gas tank. He's going to start getting offensive. He's going to start keeping his chin up, and he's going to and Cardenas is basically going to start coming forward. He's going to try to just swing to get some offense in, and then that's where Naoya Inoue can come in and knock him out. And then last but not least, use your body shots. I mean, those would be the three keys for me. Your feints, you force him into the later rounds, and you use your body shots. If you're Naoya Inoue, that's what you're doing to win this fight. Now, what can Cardenas do? Does he have a chance to win this fight, and what are his keys? Well, for me, if I had to pick any, and again, Naoya Inoue, fantastic fighter. I mean, the guy's got very little to no flaws. But I will say, be patient. You know, that's the one thing that TJ Doheny was. He was very, very patient. He wasn't over aggressive. Inoue's power and aggressiveness that just ended up overwhelming him. But he was very, very patient, and he picked his shots when he saw them, which was the other key that I have, is don't miss your opportunities. If Naoya Inoue's chin is open, you go and you hit him in the chin. If you see Naoya Inoue and you're looking at it from your perspective and you start seeing Inoue, he's about to fall for a bait, you clip him. If you see him leaning forward, you clip him. Don't just look at him. Don't just try, don't just dodge and weave and then move out the way. You got to plan some attacks around that too, or else you're not going to win the fight. The judges will not give you that fight. You have to attack. You got to respond. So I will say that. Um, I will also say move around a little bit. TJ Doheny did a great job of that. I don't want to see guys that's standing in the middle of the ring and in the pocket when they're in a way, because if you do that, you're not going to win this fight. There's just no way you're going to win this fight. So for me, in my opinion, I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to move around. You're going to have to do kind of what Teofimo Lopez did a little bit. Be crafty, move around. Maybe a little bit of what Devin Haney did, just more offense. Even William Scolton against Canelo Alvarez, you're going to have to do that same type of thing where you're just moving around. So, but you're also going to have to respond. You're also going to have to throw punches. You're also going to have to throw some power punches. You got to fend off Naoya in a way somehow. So I will say movement is an important key. And use your check hooks. You see, I don't see people doing that against Naoya in a way too much. And I think the reason why is whenever you throw a punch, you're leaving yourself open. And a lot of people are too afraid to leave themselves open as a result of what will happen if Naoya in a way catches them. But at the same time, you got to use check hooks. You see, you're not going to be able to win this fight unless you're able to hurt him, unless you're able to show him some respect, or unless you're able to gain some respect to him to where he looks and he goes, okay, I just can't come in here and, throw whatever hooks or power punches or uppercuts or body shots I want. I got to be aware of that check hook. Same thing. When Rolly Romero knocked down Ryan Garcia with the two hooks, Ryan Garcia, he had a lot of respect for Rolly Romero's power and he became cautious. I do believe you can do that for Inoue. Maybe not to the full extent. I don't think Inoue will ever be as cautious as Ryan Garcia was, but at the same time, if you throw those check hooks and you land them, I do believe that you will start earning some respect from Naoya Inoue. So the three keys to victory I have for Cardenas is be patient and obviously don't miss your opportunities. Move around the ring and use your check hooks. If you can do that, I do believe you have a chance to beat Naoya Inoue. So now, with that being said, we go to the betting odds. Well, when I looked at FanDuel's betting odds, these might be the most far-stretched ones yet. So when I went and looked at the betting odds, Naoya Inoue is a minus 8,000 favorite, while Ramon Cardenas is a plus 1,600 underdog. Now, I would tell you the most likely outcome to win, but y'all would already know it's probably the knockout most likely. So with that being said, what do I got? I got Naoya Inoue by KO in the seventh round. I do believe that Cardenas is going to put up some type of fight. I'm not going to say he's going to be leading on the scorecards or anything like that, but he will have his moments. He will survive as long as he can. But just like Naoya Inoue does, he's going to figure it out and he's going to knock the guy out. And I do believe it's going to be in 7 rounds. I think the way he's going to knock him out, um, again, he doesn't use too much head movement. I think what's going to happen is he's going to get that gas tank depleted and then come around the seventh round, maybe eighth, but I'm going to go seventh. And the seventh round, I just think it's going to be too much for Cardenas. I think he's going to try to put up an offensive fight, but at the end of the day, I think that he's going to knock him down with a body shot, and I think that's going to be the end of it. I think Naoya Inoue by body shot KO, that's how it ends. And that KO is going to happen in the seventh round. That is my prediction. Now, would you place a bet on here? I mean, a small bet. If you want to put $1 on Cardenas just to see what happens, because you would win a lot if you did put $1 in, sure. But I just don't see Cardenas being the guy to beat Naoya Inoue. And I could be wrong because we've seen some surprises in boxing. Obviously, we've seen a lot of upsets in boxing. Lamont Roach, nobody thought Lamont Roach had a chance against Tank Davis, but he did. And the only difference between Lamont Roach and Cardenas is Lamont Roach was a champion. I know it was in the division below, but he was a champion. So he did have some type of experience. He knew Tank Davis. They grew up in the amateurs. Both of them grew up fighting each other in the amateurs. So when you really go and look at it, he had the history of knowing Tank Davis. Cardenas doesn't have that. You're going in the ring against Naoya Inoue. You see the highlights. You know how scary he is. You know how dangerous he is, but you don't know him like that. So, in my opinion, it's not going to go down the same way. So, I got Naoya Inoue, seventh round KO. And I think that's how that fight's going to end. But with that being said, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Again, this is Naoya Inoue returning to the United States for the first time, I believe, in like 5 years. It's gonna be taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, May 4th. And it's going to be a great event. I'm so glad that Naoya Inoue is going to be fighting back into the States. I'm hoping that he can fight into the States a lot more. Obviously, I would like to see him go back to Japan. The only reason why I don't like the fights happening in Japan, because me, I got to go wake up at 6 a.m. to watch these fights and I'm half asleep. Or I'll be asleep, I'll wake up and I'll miss it, and I got to go catch the full fight on YouTube or something. But overall, I hope that we get more fights from him in the United States, and I'm hoping that we start seeing Naoya Inoue go around the world because I do believe that he is a superstar in the sport of boxing, and I do believe that he should be one of the faces of boxing and a cash cow of boxing. I believe he should have the same amount of respect as somebody like a Terrence Crawford or a Canelo Alvarez or an Alexander Usyk or those types of guys. Naoya Inoue deserves to be just as big of a star, not just in Japan, but overall in the United States and other countries as well. They might try to bring him to Saudi Arabia since he's a part of a deal with Turkey Al Sheikh and Riyadh season. So you just never know. But overall, I'm glad to see Naoya Inoue back into the ring. And I just feel like when Naoya Inoue is fighting, you're guaranteed to get a treat. And I'm just hoping that I'm going to get a treat on May 4th. So with that being said, make sure y'all continue to tune into the Puncher's Point. We're gonna keep on dropping episode after episode, banger after banger, post after post. Make sure y'all continue to subscribe to the YouTube and the podcast platforms, follow the social medias, and last but not least, I need y'all to stay on point with the Puncher's Point.